Yeah, so this is going to be a video about device configuration for a CPU. As a device configuration is how to set up a CPU. This is going to be just an introduction, and you should get to know what you can do to your CPU. So what we're going to do is a little device configuration for the CPU, and then we are going to add, let's say, one I/O card. And I/O is I/O, that's input and output, where you connect your sensor and your actuators to your CPU. So here we have a new project, and the device configuration is here. So this is the device, the CPU. Let's do something like that. The CPU have a lot of properties here. So what you can do, they have interfaces and so on. So you can set up the CPU network addresses. The first interface, I think the X1 is to the right and the X2 is to the left. Here you can click on these two. No, the properties, we need to have this view. Yes. So here's the CPU. So you get all properties. And you can also click on these, and then you get properties for that device. IP addresses and so on. You can rename your interfaces. You can give them other names. The DP interface is legacy, field bus, Profibus, DP, startup, how to start it up, and so on. How many milliseconds you can for the CPU to configure its environment with field bus devices and so on. Cycle time, 150 millisecond. I think it's 6 seconds you can extend it to. Communication load for this one. Other CPUs, they have two kernels, one for communication and one for program processing. So that's a different. But here you can say for communication, if you want to use more for your communication, less for communication. Communication is with other CPUs, with HMI panels, you name it. Here is system and clock memory. Well, you can get some pulses and stuff out of your CPU. The memory, micro memory card, aging, and so on. Web server you have. CPU can be a web server, so you can use a browser to access information on it, and so on. System diagnostic, PLC alarms, web server, the display. That's the display on your CPU. You see we have got a display here, and so on. Here's the OPC UA that we had a little look at early on, but here is the OPC UA server. You need a license for the server, and so on. So you can use power supply. It's too much to. You should look at all this. So what we are going to do now is the device configuration. Double click. Device configuration. We had it. We have opened it. But if you don't have this, we can just walk back. We looked at the device configuration, of course. But if you, then it's just a double click over here. We had the device configuration. What we want to do was to just insert one module. And we want to use an AI module. And you have quite a few of them. It's not that. We can, 4, 8, a general one. So what you do here, the capabilities of module you can see on the down here. And just drag. The blue ones is where I can place it. To the left here are power supply and stuff like that. And again, we're not going to look at this, but let's say this particular one, we can just have a look at an input, the channel 0. So what you can do to it from template, we're not going to have it from template. There is a template up here, that you can use, but you can also use manual settings. Was manual, and then you can alter this, narrow all the types. It's too lengthy, but say what you use is resist or whatever. We should probably have used, there are other modules too. These are for temperature measurements, PT100 and so on. So you can do a setup. General. So you can get an overview. Here is the template that I talked about. So you can set up, if you have 8, let's say PT100, then you can use a template for all, and your wire break and over and underflow and so on. Okay, just get to know this, what you can do. Of course, the I modules you're using depends upon your task. So this was a quick video about device configurations. What we looked at was to set up the CPU. We didn't set the CPU up, but we looked at some things you could do. So when you insert a CPU, just have a look around, play a little around, look at the menus you have, use the context menus, and see what you can do to it. And what we did then was to insert just an analog input card with 8 channels for PT100 and thermocouples and so on.